Hello, welcome to this update for the tropics. So let's see. So we still have the disturbance there. So it's right over the northeastern Caribbean, and the area is a little bit different. They have it potentially developing near the Bahamas and near Florida there. So let's see. A large tropical wave located over the last Antilles continues to produce a broad area of disorganized showers and thunderstorms. While development in the short term is not anticipated as the system moves portions of the Greater Antilles, environmental conditions are forecast to become gradually more conducive for development as the system moves generally west-northwest towards the Bahamas and Cuba. A tropical depression could form this weekend or early next week, as in the vicinity of the Greater Antilles, Bahamas, or near Florida. Interested in the Bahamas, in the Greater Antilles, or near Florida should monitor the progress of the system, and even in the southeastern US. So let's see. What else we have here? So first, the GFS. Let's see. So the 12C is still showing the system going to the Gulf. So it does some crazy things here, because it takes the tropical wave right over Hispaniola there, and there are like a lot of mountains there, and if this happens, these mountains will like weaken the wave very much, and also Cuba too. There's a bunch of land there. So but anyways, the GFS keeps this wave alive, and then it goes into the Gulf and turns into a tropical storm there near Florida, and the GFS kind of keeps it there, like stalling there for a few days, and then eventually moving into the US there. But the GFS doing some crazy stuff. So let's see the precipitation so you can have an idea. So it takes it through the islands there, and then it stalls near Florida there, produces a tremendous amount of rainfall, potentially more than 20 inches there, and then moves into the US. So the GFS has some crazy stuff. So let's see the European. So let's see, it has the disturbance there, but this is the 6C. It doesn't go far out enough. Let's see the 0C. So it has the disturbance there. It kind of struggles a little bit, but the 0C is still taking this east, like near the east coast, and then it keeps going there, potentially affecting Atlantic Canada later. So it kind of forms into a tropical depression or a weak tropical storm there, and then goes out and maybe strengthens a little bit there in the ocean. So let's see here something else. So the Canadian. So let's see, it has the systems as still going like very weak into the west coast of Florida there, but barely a tropical depression. That's like a strong disturbance there, and then it really forms after it gets into the Atlantic again there. So it kind of forms a tropical storm there and stays in that area a little bit, and then might move out later. So this is kind of weird too. But let's see the icon. It has the disturbance there, forming like just near Cuba and Florida, and going near the west coast of Florida there as a tropical depression. But 1011 millibars is very weak. I don't know if that will be like a tropical depression or just a strong disturbance there, because 1011 millibars is very weak. But then it takes it over Florida there, and eventually gets stronger as it gets into the Atlantic again. So it's doing the same thing as the Canadian is doing there. So this has been a trend too, then it eventually tries to form a tropical storm there in the Atlantic. So let's see the Neptune. So finally the Neptune is forming something, because all these weeks it didn't show anything. So he forms something just south of Florida there, goes like into the west coast, crosses Florida, and forms bear in the Atlantic there. So the Neptune, the Icon, the Canadian are all doing the same thing. So this might be an interesting trend too, and eventually gets into a tropical storm there near the coast of the southeast. So yeah, and the UK model is showing still in the Gulf there, potentially, and then it shows it keeps going there, uh, potentially weakening a little bit and going near Louisiana and Mississippi later. So by August 5th, the UK model still has it in the Gulf Coast there. It's like a depression or a weak tropical storm, and then it goes into Louisiana and Mississippi. So that's the UK model. Let's see here something else. So here, so let's see the GFS again, just for something here. So the wind shear is still kind of strong in the Caribbean there, and then the disturbance crosses there, and wait, this is going too fast. So it crosses there, and then it eventually tries to form there near Florida and goes into Florida, and there's still a little bit of wind shear around it, but it show it, the GFS shows it's surviving there, and that wind shear around it's mainly some outflow there. So let's see, but it kind of survives there. Let's see, the European has the system there, kind of going there. There's still some wind shear around it. It might be outflow, or it might be something else, but it's showing right where it is, not much wind shear, and then it kind of goes there, kind of into Florida in the southeast, and later north there. But it shows it's surviving, like it shows more shear there in the US, more shear in the ocean, and it crosses right through the middle there. So yeah, we'll see what happens. So let's see, there's still a lot of dry air there, but let's see where this wave is now. So now it's currently there in the northeastern Caribbean. There's still dry air to the east there, but it keeps going, kind of protected, but still some dry air there, and then it goes, tries to form there, and then some more dry air gets around it, but it keeps going there. So yeah, it's still kind of unsure if this will form or not. Probably it will form into something weak, but there's still some shear and some dry air around there. And let's see, maybe something else here. So this is the, let's see, this is the 12Z European from today, and interestingly enough, the 12Z also has this going into the Gulf there, like the GFS, the Canadian, the Icon, and the other ones. So the 0Z showed it going up the east coast, but now the 12Z European is showing it near the west coast of Florida there. So yeah, some interesting trends there. It might just go through the east coast, like in the Atlantic there, near the coast, but it might go to the west too. And now more models are showing it going into the west. So we got to keep monitoring this. And then later, it kind of goes into Florida there. And let's see. and then it kind of lingers there, trying to get into the Atlantic, and then it eventually leaves by August 7th, it leaves into the Atlantic there, and it kind of gets a little messy, but eventually it leaves there. It might try to re-strengthen in the Atlantic, but he lives there, but it's kind of stretched, like a little bit disorganized after he leaves Florida. But we gotta keep watching this. More trends are showing it in the Gulf now. So let's see maybe some probabilities and stuff. So this is the tropical storm probabilities, like tropical cyclone Genesis, including Genesis, the tropical storm probabilities. So let's see, we start getting some tropical storm probabilities by August 5th. They're near Florida and in the coast just north of the Bahamas. And then by August 6th, more tropical storm probabilities there. By August 7th, still some tropical storm probabilities. By August 8th, it keeps going there. By August 9th, some probabilities in the Gulf, but most probabilities are on the East Coast. And by August 10th, some more tropical storm probabilities there, like near the East Coast and the Gulf. But it has decreased a little bit from yesterday. It was showing some higher tropical storm probabilities yesterday. So let's see, and this is the hurricane probabilities. It has nothing, 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 and eventually a 5 to 10% very slim hurricane probability in the Atlantic there, just off the East Coast, but that's too small probability. Let's see just tropical cyclones, like tropical depression probabilities, or like cyclone Genesis. It shows still by August 3rd some high probabilities there near the Greater Antilles, like 50 to 70% there in those blues and dark greens, so some decent probabilities. By August 4th, the probabilities are more in Cuba there, some 60 to 70%. More probabilities in the Bahamas near South Florida, but before it was going through the East Coast, and now they are showing it going west. So let's see, by August 5th, still some probabilities on the East Coast, but more like there, like entering the Gulf near Cuba and the Florida Keys. By August 6th, still some probabilities on the East Coast, but had the highest probabilities in the Gulf there. By August 7th, still in the Gulf and kind of crossing over Florida. By August 8th, still some probabilities around there. Cyclone Genesis. By August 9th, still some there. By August 10th, more probabilities throughout the East Coast and Canada. And this is done. So yeah, we gotta watch this. So it might just go to the east through the Atlantic, like the 0Z showed, but now it's trending a little bit more to the west. And then let's see something else. So some ensembles here. So let's take this to wait. So this is to August. Let's go a little bit before here, so you can see it starting. So this by August 5th, some ensembles show near the Bahamas, some tropical depression, tropical storm strength, and some in the Gulf there. This starts showing some more tropical depression strength in the Gulf. And let's see. By August 6th, shows more ensembles on the East Coast, some still in the Gulf, some stronger ones there in the Atlantic near the southeast. And let's see, by August 8th, shows more ensembles there in the Gulf, some crossing over Florida, maybe a tropical depression, weak tropical storm strength, and shows some ensembles like tropical storm strength there in the Atlantic. And let's see, by the end of this run, until August 10th, shows they kind of crossed over Florida, and some members kept it going east, not going to the Gulf, but some got up to hurricane strength there in the orange, or like strong tropical storm strength in the Atlantic there, going to the northeast. So there's still a lot of members showing, but I don't know if it's showing as much as before, but there's still a lot of members showing some development there. So this is the 12Z European. If I put this to 0Z, like most of the members were going like east coast there, like going there, maybe one or two in the Gulf, but showed most members going to the east and northeast now. But now the 12Z showed half of the members in the Gulf and half on the east coast there. So yeah, it's interesting. Let's see now. So some more things. So this is the sea surface temperatures. They are very warm in the Gulf there. If this gets into the Gulf, there'll be some very warm waters. More than 8 degrees Celsius and almost to 90. No, the degrees Fahrenheit. So this is in Celsius, about 31 degrees Celsius in parts of the west, in the eastern Gulf there. And it's like 89 or something, like almost 90 Fahrenheit, maybe. So very, very warm, even to 32 degrees Celsius there in parts of the Gulf. So very warm temperatures for this system. So let's see now what's happening with the rainfall forecast. So because the disturbance is currently there in the northeastern Caribbean, and it's bringing a lot of heavy showers and thunderstorms there today. So we recently had some rain advisories in Barbados there, but the worst is just to the north there, and you can see all this rainfall and thunderstorm activity there, like near Guadeloupe, Antigua and Barbuda. Shows more through Anguilla, parts of St. Kitts and Nevis. So lots of some heavy showers and thunderstorms affecting there now. So be careful there. I know it's already happening, but continue to be careful. More storms in the British and US Virgin Islands there, and some rains and storms in Puerto Rico too. So let's see. You can see here on this other satellite all the rains and storms there. So be careful in those areas there. And let's see the rainfall accumulation the next 24 hours from this shows little, but some amounts there, like some 15 to 20 millimeters in some areas. But be aware, some showers and storms might be heavy today there. And in the next 3 days, this keeps going. It shows more showers and storms in the Dominican Republic. Some areas of 20 millimeters accumulation. Some 27 millimeters in the Turks and Caicos. 36, 19 millimeters in the Bahamas. Northern Bahamas a little bit less, but still some rain. In Cuba there, shows more than 20 millimeters, especially when this tropical wave crosses by, and the storms. In Jamaica, it also shows some showers and storms possible, but a little bit less. Some showers possible in the Cayman Islands, some 18 to 16 millimeters too. And this is the European, so the GFS has this crossing the islands and going to the Gulf. So the GFS has most of the rain, like over the greater Antilles. So let's see, it has more than 50-60 millimeters in parts of Haiti in the next 3 days. The Dominican Republic shows like 29 to 35 millimeters there. So let's see, it has a lot in Cuba too, some 4 millimeters there. Some in Jamaica, but not as much. More in Cuba there. And then as it goes, some more rain in Cuba, going through the Florida Keys, more in the Bahamas in some areas, and Puerto Rico, because of the storms there, shows more than 50 millimeters in some areas and 20 millimeters. So yeah, and the icon shows more there in the next 3 days in the northeastern Caribbean, shows more than the European, so it's showing more than 40 millimeters from these storms there. So be aware. That's Puerto Rico shows some too, and the Dominican Republic, it shows less because it's going north. Like the GFS is going like through the islands, and this model is going north. So it has, but still has some showers and storms there. It has more in Cuba there, some showers in Jamaica, but it has more rain in Cuba, not much west in Cuba, more east in Cuba, more in the Bahamas there. Let's see, 21 millimeters, 21. So let's see, next 5 days it has even more as this crosses over Florida. So in parts of the Florida Keys it has like more than 102 millimeters the next 5 days. Yes, more in Florida there, and then as this leaves the East Coast it might get stronger. So let's see the European in the next 5 days. So it shows more there near the west coast of Florida and some on the west coast too, especially if the system comes in, there will be more. And let's see, shows more in the Bahamas, some 40, some 30 millimeters the next 5 days. Shows a little bit more in the Caribbean, so next 3 days. It shows more in the southern Caribbean next 5 days, so some more showers and storms. Shows more in some areas, Dominican Republic, some more in the Bahamas, in Cuba there, a little bit more. So yeah, be aware. And the rainfall map here, so this is just a forecast, it will probably change, but you can see as the tropical wave passes by, lots of storms expected in the Dominican Republic, in Puerto Rico. So this by Thursday, right? It's tomorrow. So be aware there in the Dominican Republic, in the Turks and Caicos, there might be a lot of storms in those areas. So stay safe from the storms and from like some isolated areas of flooding possible with some heavier storms. So be careful as this tropical wave crosses by. More storms in Cuba, the Bahamas later, as this comes into Florida too. So yeah, be careful with the storms there. And the GFS has this going south more for the Dominican Republic. So take a look at this. By Friday, the GFS has some tremendous rainfall there in Haiti, the Dominican Republic. Most models are going through the Turks and Caicos, the Bahamas, and then into Florida, but the GFS is going south first. I think this is more like more unlikely, but you never know. Just be aware there. But anyways, even if this doesn't happen, there'll be storms there in those areas. So be careful. So, and I'll just say this in Spanish for the Dominican Republic. Entonces, a partir de jueves día 1 mañana puede haber más chubascos fuertes y tormentas en la República Dominicana, Haití y otras zonas así. Precauciones con las lluvias y tormentas. Good. So let's see now for Central America, some rainfall forecast. So it shows the next 5 days. More in Panama, more, let's see, some 30 is 40 is even to 60 millimeters in Panama. More in Costa Rica, shows some May is 70 millimeters there, 67. Shows more in Nicaragua, some areas there, 67 millimeters and more. Shows more in Honduras there, but not as much as Costa Rica and Nicaragua, but shows some more storms and stuff there, especially northern Honduras and southern Honduras. More in El Salvador, some areas more than 70 millimeters in southern El Salvador. Be aware, in central Guatemala shows more than 80 millimeters from some storms. Southern Belize, some 70 millimeters. Shows 46 millimeters. Some more showers, maybe some thunderstorms. Northern Belize and the Yucatan. Shows heavier still in southern Mexico. More than 100 millimeters in areas of southern Mexico there. So be careful there. And more through western Mexico. So be aware. More heavy rains and thunderstorms during the day in many parts of western Mexico there. So, and even to northwestern Mexico. So be aware there. And let's see. The next 10 days from the European, as this crosses over Florida, the 12th European has some very high amounts as this crosses over Florida in the next 10 days, but we still don't know what's going to happen. This might just go east in the Atlantic there. So we will keep monitoring this and making more updates. Let's see the Eastern Pacific now, and then we'll talk some long range for the Atlantic. So it shows this system, it's a little less less probability than yesterday. It's about 30%, but you mainly just remain in the ocean there. And shows this other system are at 80% in the next 7 days and 10% in the next 48 hours. So a tropical depression likely to form by this weekend as the system moves westward to west-northwestward 10 to 15 miles per hour, remaining offshore. So yeah, be aware. And we have tropical depression 3 that some say it's already a tropical storm. So they already have this tropical storm Carlotta there. So a lot of convection, very good looking. So they have this guy into Hurricane Carlotta in the Eastern Pacific and then remaining offshore there. So yeah, let's see some wind speeds and probabilities, and this is mainly it. So for now this is forecasted to remain offshore there. They have mostly going into the ocean there, some intensity guidance getting to hurricane strength. And let's see, and invest 95V, the other one highlighted at 80%, showed some show it going north, but most show it going like northwest, but mainly to the ocean. But most have it weak there still, but the models are not showing it weak, are showing it like very strong. So this is the GFS, it shows Hurricane Carlotta there, and then the other system forming back behind it, getting very strong too, going out into the ocean, and maybe some other systems later there. And it shows, let's see, the European has, let's see, the 0Z has Hurricane Carlotta there, trying to form, and then the other system forming back behind it, potentially getting stronger, and then the Canadian has Carlotta there, and then the other system comes back behind it and gets even bigger. So yeah, and maybe some other systems later. So this is mainly it for the Eastern Pacific. So let's see now some other stuff for the Atlantic, because the tropics outlook was updated yesterday there, and now on week 2 between August 7th and August 13th, they have greater than a 40% chance of tropical cyclones in the main development region there, the Atlantic, and a 20% chance there in Florida on the southeast, mainly for this system that's coming now. Some slight chances in the Eastern Pacific still, and still some chances in the Western Pacific there. And then by week 3, between August 14th and August 20th, still shows some slight chances in the Western Pacific, just south of Japan, shows more chances on the Eastern Pacific, but on week 3 they still have greater than a 40% chance of tropical cyclones there in the Atlantic, near the Lesser Antilles and the main development region there. So we'll keep monitoring this, but definitely getting more active into August there. So let's see some stuff. Where is it? Here, so here's. So I showed you the sea surface temperatures, very hot there, and to the high 20s in other areas too. And the ocean heat content is very warm. Alright, it's some areas more than 150 there in the Caribbean, in the Gulf. So a lot of fuel there for these storms. So let's see. So this is mainly it, I think. Let's see, but before the 0Z European was showing some very crazy stuff. So it's only one member, but the 0Z European was showing another system coming from the main development region, getting into a hurricane in the Caribbean there by August 10th. So take this as a gigantic grain of salt. It's just one of 50 members showing this, and it probably won't happen, but it's interesting to take a look. So let's see. Let's see here. Tropical cyclones. So later, by like, let's see, the 3rd week of August, it shows more tropical cyclone probabilities there. So like this general tropical cyclone probabilities shows more near Africa, more in parts of there, of the Gulf. And then by the last week of August, it still shows lots of probabilities there of tropical cyclones in the main development region, near the southeast and other areas there. So we'll keep monitoring this and stay safe from some heavy rains from this coming system there. And we'll keep making updates. Thanks for watching.